It's Thursday morning here on Football Spy in association with our friends at Renault Vans, and there's been significant movement in the transfer market. We've got details of a signing which means bad news for Steven Gerrard. We've got the competition for the Jabulani ball and a massive response to the way you want your teams to line up next season. But first of all, it's transfer time. And I stand corrected. I've been convinced that Steven Gerrard's on his way to Real Madrid, but that now looks shot to pieces with the news that the German midfielder Sami Khedira is on his way there instead for a bargain £8.5 million. He's got just a year left on his Stuttgart contract, and at 23 he's got massive resale value, which is why Real Madrid have moved in for him instead of the Steven Gerrard, who would have cost them £60 million. Spanish Daily Marca report Khedira was at the Madrid training ground yesterday. Jose Mourinho would appear to have done the right thing. Elsewhere, we're sticking with the transfers that are now moving, and Fiorentina have completed the signing of Artur Boruc, the goalkeeper from Celtic, after he passed a medical. Burnley have accepted a bid from the Scottish club Rangers for midfielder Chris Eagles, and lots of you have had your say on the Inter Milan striker Mario Balotelli. Chelsea, United and City all want to sign him for a ridiculous £30 million. We'll get to your views in a bit, but in the meantime, Inter Milan say that neither he nor their right back Maicon are for sale. Real Madrid want him. The thing is, it's easy to say that when the money isn't down. Let's see what happens when they get some bids in. I'm just going to go back to Celtic because their boss Neil Lennon believes the Hoops 24-year-old winger Aidan McGeady wants out of Parkhead. Aston Villa will be interested in him. Sunderland fans might like this. Steve Bruce is ready to test former manager Sir Alex Ferguson's resolve to hang on to young striker Danny Welbeck. He's one for the future, but I don't see him as a goal machine right now. And the West Brom boss Roberto Di Matteo, he's confirmed his interest in the Liverpool striker David Ngo, but his agent Bruno Satin has been today saying that Ngo is not interested. Perhaps a case of watch and Ngo. Okay. We're not going to mess around with the Fabregas and the Torres nonsense, as there's been no movement on either story, so we'll just move on. Now, the competition for the Jabulani ball hots up, as you know, because nobody correctly tipped the winner of the World Cup Golden Boot. We began a new competition to win this, the Jabulani ball. We want you to tell us who you think will be the first player to be signed by the new Liverpool manager, Roy Hodgson. On YouTube, Is7 Battler thinks it will be Paul Scharner. 310 Goonie thinks it's going to be the Inter Milan midfielder Suleiman Tari. On our email, spy@mirror.co.uk, Izam thinks it will be Clint Dempsey. So too does Andrew Dyer in Melbourne, Australia. And Nazrin from Singapore thinks it will be Jabril Cisse. Who do you think will be the first signing at Liverpool under Roy Hodgson? Get in touch. If you get it right and we pick you, then you will win this, the Jabulani ball. Now, before we get to your messages, I asked you yesterday how you want your team to line up next season. I was basically saying that I'd like to see Liverpool more attacking next season with a creative midfielder alongside a holding midfielder instead of two holding midfielders like Rafa played all the time. Anyway, it looks as though I've created yet another monster. You've absolutely inundated me with your lineup, so I'm going to let you take the stage. Sean Trenton's in Australia. His Arsenal lineup for next season's got Mark Schwarzer in goal, the new boy Koscielny in the back four, the rest pretty much unchanged, but in a 4-3-3 attack formation. Isaiah Reed's in California. He's got Arsenal in a 4-2-3-1 formation with Song and Fabregas holding, and Nasri, Van Persie and Arshavin behind new boy Shamak. No Bentner I notice in any of those two Arsenal teams. I like this in from Mikel Johnson. He's got Chelsea team and he's got the Atletico Madrid striker Sergio Aguero alongside Drogba. He's got Schweinsteiger, the Germany midfielder, in his midfield on the right, and the Benfica left back Fabio Quentrao in defence. Good solid side, but Chelsea tend not to play 4-4-2 anymore. And this Manchester City side from Tom Taylor looks very strong indeed. Tom's got Boateng in at right back. He did well there for Germany. Yaya Toure and Barry behind De Jong, and Bellamy and Silva behind Tevez. That forward line does look powerful, but Bellamy on the way out of City. And also that does look as though that's got a lack of creativity in that Manchester City midfield. But thank you for all of them. Keep them coming. We'll get them on the show. How do you want your team to line up next season? Share it with us, spy@mirror.co.uk, as you know, or post on YouTube. Now, time for your messages. And I gave you my views on Mario Balotelli yesterday. I think he's trouble, and I don't know why United, Chelsea and City want him. Now you've had yours, so you really have given me a cross-section of your views. Bien Fate says here, I think Balotelli is a good player, but I'll have to agree with you. His attitude is extremely poor. Why would we want to pay £30 million for him? I just don't get it. Team JGP thinks Balotelli simply needs some management to curb his attitude and an environment away from Italy. Thomas Kirkland says, I don't know much about Balotelli, but from what I've heard, I don't like. I'm a Man U fan, and I think we've got enough anger in the team already. We don't need another player like him. Hannah's not impressed either. She says here, no, I don't think Balotelli would be good for United after what I've heard about him. Although Fergie wouldn't put up with it, because let's face it, you don't mess with Sir Alex Ferguson and get away with it, as many United players have learnt over the years. And I like this from Bad Half. He says, Balotelli will be okay in England, as he won't be hated like he's in Italy. I think you know what I'm talking about. Well, you're obviously talking about the problem that they have with racism in Serie A. And indeed, thankfully, it's not as bad over here. Just two quick questions before we go. Well, actually, the answer to two quick questions before we go to Murik Ashi. The Mexico player Juarez is indeed in the process of signing for Celtic. And to Siddharth Laha, I think Vincent Anyema of Nigeria would be an excellent long-term replacement for the Manchester United keeper, Edwin van der Sar. Producer's shaking his head there. Robert is in the spy office keeping you up to date with the latest transfer news on the Mirror Football website. Another packed Football Spy show is back with you tomorrow. No golf, just football.